I'm Berndnaut Smilde. I make installations and sculptures and I often react to my surrounding or spaces, just as with those clouds works. Initially I wanted to make an image of ultimate disappointment, almost like you just walk into an empty museum space and there was nothing to see. And there would be a cloud in the corner of a room and it could maybe rain on you. I had this idea and then I wanted to see if, how could you exhibit a cloud? How could you make a cloud? So I tried to test all kinds of things. I make the clouds with smoke and water based and lighting. Initially when you walk into a space you have an idea of how you want that cloud to look and where it should go. So I set up the machines and test the space for air circulation. Then I make the space very wet using water vapor. Kind of make a very wet, damp area, a kind of wall. I just spray it and then release the smoke. And then it just starts. So it's actually a burst of smoke that finds its way. The water particles, they stick to the smoke and they make it heavier, just long enough to take a photograph. But then it's starting to grow and fall apart at the same time. It's out of my control in a way. You kind of have to do a lot of tests to get the right ones. I've worked in many locations. For instance, there was one location in San Francisco, and it was called the Green Room. It was so sharp that the space turned into plastic, almost. So the cloud was kind of mirrored. It was kind of, you can see the back of it mirrored in the reflections of the space. When I was looking in Shanghai as well, we were looking for different places that could represent Shanghai in a way. So that's why we came up with the Himalayas Museum. And you look up on the big high-rises that were outside, having a relation to the city. Yeah, well, for me the clouds are really about like temporary sculptures, you could say, like made out almost nothing, balancing on the edge of materiality. And so it's really about the prospect of a cloud inside a space, not the whole process of making, and also not having people around. For me it's that one photograph that represents the idea. So I'm kind of interested in how people use these images and what they could mean. And I also wanted to see if I could project a rainbow for real onto a real landscape. And last year I did a working period in Boulder in America with a scientist. And together with him I kind of developed a big prism. From a distance of 130 meters we got this very big light and we put it onto that big prism and it projected that rainbow onto the barn. And this summer I got permission to use a lighthouse on the Dutch coast, to put a prism in front of a lighthouse and break the light in order to project a rainbow onto the whole cityscape there, almost like a temporary hack into the landscape. Well, a lot of work is about nature, but I'm not really interested into nature itself, but it's really about this idea of the ungraspableness of nature. If you take a natural aspect and you put it inside an unnatural context, it starts to get a bit strange. That kind of feeling of uncomfortableness, but and that makes you start thinking about what you see and what am I looking at.